Hello students, Jinalisha welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Students, today we will begin with the new chapter number 8, Human Health and Disease. So basically students, in this particular chapter, we will be discussing regarding the common diseases, some of the common diseases occurring in human being. We will also study regarding the immune system of the human beings. We will study how drugs, alcohol, affect the human beings and how human beings get addicted to drugs and alcohol. So these are the certain points which will be covered in this particular chapter. So let us begin with the chapter, students. So first of all, the introductory part where we will see what do we mean by health. So health according to Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system of medicine. So basically, what is health according to Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system of medicine? According to Hippocrates, the human body is filled with humor or fluid which consisted of black bile, yellow bile, blood and phlegm. So Hippocrates, he said that human body is filled with humors. Humors are the fluids which occur in the body, and the four types of fluid which makes the human body are black bile, yellow bile, blood and phlegm. This is what Hippocrates thought. According to them, that is according to Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system of medicine, health was considered as a state of body and mind where there was a balance of certain humors. So basically, Hippocrates said that there are four fluids, four humors which are found in the human beings. And what was health according to them? So it was a state of body and mind where there was the balance of all these four humors. Each of these humor is correlated with the elements of nature, like black bile represented earth, yellow bile represented fire, blood represented air and phlegm represented water. So Hippocrates, he said that each humor is correlated to the elements of nature. There are four main elements of nature: earth, fire, air and water. So all these four humors, they represented one of the element of nature. Like black bile, it represented earth, yellow bile, it represented fire, blood, it represented air and phlegm, it represented the water. These humors were thought to be four basic substances that filled the human body. So it was thought that human body is filled with these four humors. When these were balanced, a person is said to be in good health. So when balance occurs between these humors, it is said that a person is in a good health. Too much humor in human body resulted in mental or physical illness that manifested the bad health. जब humors का balance था, it was indicative of good health. But when this balance is disturbed, यानी कि some of the humor it becomes too much, some of the humor it becomes less, then what happens? It resulted into the mental and physical illness. It resulted in mental or physical abnormalities, which was indicative of the bad health. So it was believed that when there was a balance of humors, a person is said to be in good health. But when this balance of humors is disturbed, it was indicative of the bad health. It was also thought that persons with black bile, basically what was black bile? It was thought that it was a humor which is secreted by kidneys or spleen, which causes the sadness and melancholy, that is depression. So black bile, it was thought to be a humor secreted by kidney and spleen, which was responsible for sadness and depression. So it was believed that the person who were having greater concentration of black bile, they belonged to hot personality and would have fevers. ऐसा माना जाता था कि those persons who were having greater concentration of black bile, they belonged to hot personality and they would have fevers. But by the discovery of thermometer, तो क्या there was a finding that those persons which were having the black bile, they were also having the normal body temperature. ये लोग क्या मानते थे? पहले क्या thought थी? Earlier it was thought that a person with the black bile were belonging to the hot personality and they would have the fevers. But with the discovery of the thermometer, when the person's body temperature was measured using a thermometer, then it was found that those persons who were having the black bile, they were also having the normal body temperature. So this idea was arrived by the pure reflective thought. The discovery of blood circulation by William Harvey using the experimental method and demonstration of normal body temperatures in persons with black bile using the thermometer disproved the good humor hypothesis of the health. So जो ये ह्यूमर की हाइपोथेसिस थी कि जिनमें ब्लैक बाइल होता है वो हॉट पर्सनालिटी को बिलोंग करते हैं एंड दे वुड हैव द फीवर्स, ये वाली जो थियोरी थी वो क्या हो गई? डिसअप्रूव हो गई. कैसे? कि इन द पर्सन्स विद द ब्लैक बाइल using the thermometer, it was found that they were also having the normal body temperature. In years later, biology stated that mind influences through neural system and endocrine system our immune system and that our immune system maintains our health. So later advancement in technology हुआ, बाद में ये बोला गया कि it is mind which influences the nervous system, endocrine system and our immune system, and it is the immune system which maintains the health of the individual. Hence, mind and mental state can affect our health. Health is affected by three reasons. One is genetic disorders, another one is infections, and lastly the lifestyle. So what are genetic disorders? The deficiencies with which a child is born and deficiencies or defects which the child inherits from the parents from the birth, they are called as the genetic disorders. So what affects the health of an individual? The first factor is the genetic disorders. What are genetic disorders? They are the deficiencies or the defect with which a child is born with, यानी birth से ही वो deficiency या defect child में होती है. These defects or deficiency the child inherits from their parents. The next one is the infections. Infections they may acquire during their life, and lifestyle of an individual. So what includes the lifestyle? Lifestyle including the food and water we take, rest and exercise we give to our bodies, habits that we have or lack, etc. All this comes under the lifestyle. What lifestyle includes? Our food and water habits, the rest and exercise we give to our bodies, certain habits we have or we lack, etc. All this come under the lifestyle. So basically health is affected by genetic disorders, by infection and by the lifestyle. Now health. What do we mean by the term health? Now students, health simply does not mean absence of disease or physical fitness. कोई पर्सन में डिजीज नहीं है या कोई पर्सन फिजिकली फिट है, that does not indicate that person is a healthy person. It simply does not mean the absence of disease or the physical fitness. So, according to World Health Organization, health is defined as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being and not merely absence of diseases. वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने हेल्थ को कैसे डिफाइन किया है? अकॉर्डिंग टू WHO, health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. What is health? It is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. Social yani you are socially healthy. You are able to communicate with others. You develop the meaningful relationships with others. And you form the support system to overcome the loneliness. That is considered as the social well-being. So, World Health Organization ने ये बोला कि a person who is physically, mentally and socially complete is considered as a healthy individual, and it is not merely the absence of the diseases. So, it is defined as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. When people are healthy, they are more efficient at work. जो person healthy होते हैं, they are very much effective at their workplace. As they are effective, as they are efficient at workplace, it increases the productivity. Of course, आप healthy रहोगे तो आप काम अच्छा कर पाओगे. आप काम अच्छा कर पाओगे तो productivity automatically increase होगी. And increase in productivity brings the economic prosperity. So, अगर person healthy है, what happens? They will be more efficient at work. If they are more efficient at work, productivity increases, and as productivity increases, it brings the economic prosperity. Health also increases the longevity of the people and reduces infant and maternal mortality. Okay, health किसके लिए responsible भी है? If a person is healthy, then the longevity increases, यानी उसकी जो life span है वो increase हो जाएगा. And another thing, infant और maternal mortality rate भी क्या होगा? कम होगा. So this is what is health. Now, how can we attain good health? So balanced diet, personal hygiene and regular exercise are very important to maintain the good health. How can we achieve good health? By taking a balanced diet, by maintaining the personal hygiene and by doing regular exercise, the good health can be achieved. Yoga has been practiced since time immemorial to achieve physical and mental health. Health के definition में हमने ये देखा कि it is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. So how can we remain or how can we achieve physical and mental health? So since time immemorial, yoga is practiced to achieve physical and mental health. Now, what are the factors necessary in achieving the good health? So, how a person or what are the factors which affects the good health? Awareness about the diseases and their effect on different bodily functions. We should be aware about the diseases and how these diseases affects the functioning of the body. We should be immunized or we should be vaccinated against infectious diseases. That is, vaccines should be taken. Proper disposal of the wastes. Control of the vectors. Vectors are the agents which are responsible for transmission of the disease. So basically they are the carriers of the disease causing organisms. So we should control the vectors. Say for example, malaria जो disease है उसका vector कौन है? तो it is the Haemophilus mosquito. So mosquito is a vector. वो एक agent है जिससे malaria transmit हो सकता है. So there should be the proper control of the vectors. Maintenance of the hygiene in food and water resources. So these are 5 factors which are necessary in achieving the good health. Now we will see what is a disease. When the functioning of one or more organs or systems of the body is adversely affected, characterized by appearance of various signs and symptoms, we say that we are not healthy, that is, we have a disease. So, what do you mean by a disease? Disease is a condition where the functioning of one or more systems or organs of the body is affected and this is characterized. हम कैसे मालूम कर सकते हैं कि yes, our organ system is not functioning properly? So body shows certain characteristics in the form of signs and symptoms. So in this condition we say that a person is not healthy. It means that a person is having a disease. Now students, diseases are broadly classified into two categories. One is infectious disease and another one is the non-infectious diseases. So first of all, infectious diseases. So what are infectious diseases? Diseases which are easily transmitted from one person to another are called infectious diseases. So those diseases which are transmitted from one person to another, they are called as infectious diseases, or they are also called as the communicable diseases. Infectious diseases are very common and everyone of us suffers from this at some time or other. Some of the infectious diseases like AIDS are very fatal. So what are infectious diseases? The diseases which transmits from one person to another are called as the infectious diseases. And these infectious diseases are very common. Some of the infectious diseases like AIDS are very fatal, that is, they are life threatening. It may cause the death of an individual. Then non-infectious diseases. It is opposite of the infectious diseases. That is, the diseases which are not transmitted from an infected person to a healthy person. So those diseases which are not transmitted from an infected person to healthy person are called as the non-infectious diseases. Among the non-infectious diseases, cancer is one of the non-infectious diseases which is a major cause of the death. So these are the two categories of the diseases, infectious and non-infectious. Non-infectious diseases are also called as the non-communicable diseases. Drug and alcohol abuse also affect our health adversely. So कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि डिसीज़ की वजह से या इन्फेक्शियस डिसीज़ हो गए या नॉन इन्फेक्शियस और जो डिसीज़ है वो ही अपनी बॉडी को अफेक्ट करते हैं. Our lifestyle like taking of drugs and alcohols, it may also affect the health of an individual. Now students, we will study some of the common diseases which occurs in human beings. Now students, here basically ये topic में, ये particular part में we will be dealing with some of the common infectious diseases which occur in human beings. Now a pathogen. So basically what is a pathogen? जो ऑर्गेनिज्म डिजीज करने के लिए रेस्पॉन्सिबल है, और यू कैन से अ डिसीज कॉजिंग ऑर्गेनिज्म इज कॉल्ड एज द पैथोजन. A wide range of organisms belonging to bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, helminths, etc. causes the diseases in man. Such disease causing organisms are called pathogens. So what are pathogens? बैक्टीरिया है, वायरसेस है, फंजाई है, प्रोटोजोन्स है, हेलमिन्स है, ये सब ऑर्गेनिजम्स ह्यूमन बींग्स में डिजीज कर सकते हैं. सो ऑल दोज डिजीज कॉजिंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? दे आर कॉल्ड एज द पैथोजेंस. Most parasites are therefore pathogens. So most of the parasitic organisms are pathogens because they cause the harm to the host by living in or on them. So most of the any parasites जो होते हैं, all those parasites basically are pathogens because they cause the harm to the host by living either inside the body of the host or on the body of the host. Now, the pathogens can enter our body by various means. Pathogens अपनी body में कितने सारे ways में जा सकते हैं, जैसे by inhalation, by the food we take, अपनी body में cuts हो गए, so ये cuts से भी pathogens अंदर जा सकते हैं. So there are varieties of ways, there are millions of ways through which the pathogens can enter our body. After entering the body, they can multiply and interfere with the normal vital activities, resulting in morphological and functional damage. So pathogen, once they enter inside the host, what they do? They multiply within the host, they interfere with the normal activities of the host, as well as what they will cause? They will cause the morphological and functional damage within the host. लेकिन पैथोजन के पास ऐसी कैपेसिटी होनी चाहिए जिसकी वजह से इट कैन एडेप्ट टू द एनवायरनमेंट विद इन द होस्ट. पैथोजन के पास ऐसी सर्विसेज होनी चाहिए, उनके पास ऐसी सर्विसेज होनी चाहिए कि जैसे वो अपनी बॉडी में एंटर हो तो अपनी बॉडी के एनवायरनमेंट के साथ वो कोप अप कर सकते हैं. सो पैथोजेंस हैव टू एडेप्ट to the life within the environment of the host. They have to adapt to the life within the environment of the host. Say for example, जो pathogens अपनी digestive system में जाती है या अपनी intestine को affect करती है, so उनके पास ऐसे adaptations होने चाहिए कि वो अपने स्टमक के एसिडिक पीएच से बच सके एंड डाइजेस्टिव एंजाइम से भी बच सके. पैथोजन के पास ऐसे मैकेनिज्म्स होने चाहिए जिससे वो एसिडिक पीएच इन द स्टमक एंड जो डाइजेस्टिव एंजाइम्स है उनसे वो क्या मिल सके, उनको प्रोटेक्शन मिल सके. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, द पैथोजेंस दैट एंटर द गट must know a way of surviving in stomach at low pH. Low pH यानी basically which type of pH? Acidic pH, and resisting the various digestive enzymes. So पैथोजेंस अपनी बॉडी में एंटर करते हैं, वहाँ पे वो मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं, मल्टीप्लाई करके वो अपनी नॉर्मल वाइटल एक्टिविटीज़ के साथ इंटरफियर करते हैं एंड अपनी बॉडी में मॉर्फोलॉजिकल एज वेल एज फंक्शनल डैमेजेस लाते हैं. बट दिस पैथोजेंस इट मस्ट हैव टू एडेप्ट टू द लाइफ विद इन द एनवायरनमेंट ऑफ द होस्ट. ओके, नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, इन दिस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक वी विल बी स्टडिंग some of the pathogenic organisms and which type of disease do they cause. So a few representative members from different groups of the pathogenic organisms are discussed along with the diseases caused by them. Preventive and control measures against these diseases in general are also described. So now in the coming topics we will be studying some of the diseases caused by the particular organisms, and we will study the general ways for the prevention and control measures against this particular diseases. So students, I told you diseases के लिए bacteria responsible है, viruses responsible है, fungi responsible है, protozoans responsible है, helminths responsible है, and all these organisms are called as what? They are called as the pathogens. What are pathogens? They are the disease causing organisms. So some of the bacterial diseases are dysentery, plague, diphtheria, cholera, typhoid, pneumonia, etc. जिसमें से हम we will study one or two. Viral diseases are common cold, measles, mumps, hepatitis, dengue, chikungunya, chickenpox, poliomyelitis. All these are viral diseases. We will discuss one or two. Fungal diseases are candidiasis, athlete's foot. Protozoan diseases are malaria, amoebiasis, then African sleeping sickness, kala azar, etc. And helminthic diseases are ascariasis and filariasis. Of this disease, we will be discussing some of them in detail. So let us begin with the diseases. The first disease we will study is a typhoid. So, who is responsible for causing typhoid? Which pathogenic organism causes a typhoid? So, causative agent for typhoid is Salmonella typhi. Which organism it is? Salmonella typhi. And it is which type of disease? It is a bacterial disease. So, typhoid is caused by a bacteria Salmonella typhi. Now, symptoms and pathogenicity. So, what is pathogenicity? The capacity of the organism to cause the disease, or how the organism causes the diseases, that is called as the pathogenicity. So, how disease occurs and what are the symptoms of the diseases? These pathogens generally enter the small intestine through food and water contaminated with them and migrate to the other organs through blood. So, typhoid कैसे spread होता है और how the typhoid bacteria enters the body. So, basically पहले तो typhoid bacteria कहाँ पे जाएगा? Small intestine. Okay, जैसे ही small intestine term आया, it means that this disease is spread through food and water. So, if a person intakes the food and water which is contaminated with the Salmonella typhi, then what happens? This bacteria will enter into the small intestine of this individual, and through the medium of blood, it will be transported to the other organs of the body too. Sustained high fever up to 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache, loss of appetite are some of the symptoms of this disease. बेसिकली यहाँ पे कैसा फीवर होता है? स्टेप लेडर फीवर. स्टेप लेडर फीवर यानी क्या? पहले फीवर इंक्रीज होगा, फिर डिक्रीज होगा, फिर से वो इंक्रीज होगा, फिर से वो डिक्रीज होगा. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द स्टेप लेडर टाइप ऑफ फीवर. सो फीवर, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache and loss of appetite are some of the symptoms of these diseases. Intestinal perforations, that is pores in the wall of the intestine, and death may also occur in severe diseases. ओके ये साल्मोनेला टाइफी के बहुत सारे टाइप्स होते हैं, बेसिकली 3 टाइप्स के होते हैं. सो अगर ये डिसीज़ की सीवियरिटी ज़्यादा है, then it will cause the pores in the intestine which may eventually lead to the death of an individual. Now, the test which is used to diagnose this disease or confirmatory test performed to diagnose the disease is called as the Vidal test. So, Vidal test is performed to diagnose this particular disease. Now, there is one incident related to typhoid disease. That is why Mary Melon was nicknamed Typhoid Mary. So, Mary Melon, this is one of the classical case in the history of the medicine. There was a lady whose name was Mary Melon and she was a cook by profession. This Mary Melon was nicknamed Typhoid Mary. What was the reason? So, Mary Melon, she was a cook by profession and she was the carrier of the disease. So, this lady, she continued to spread the disease for several years. कैसे? By the food she prepared, and the food prepared by her was eaten by many individuals, and these individuals, they suffered from the disease too. So, a classical case in the medicine, that of Mary Melon nicknamed Typhoid Mary, is worth mentioning here. She was a cook by profession and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread the typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. As a result, many people suffered from typhoid as they ate the food prepared by her. So, Mary Melon was a carrier of a typhoid. She was a cook by profession. उसने जो food prepare किया, and when that food was consumed by the people, they also suffered from typhoid, and therefore as she was responsible to spread the typhoid disease. She was nicknamed Typhoid Mary. So that is regarding Typhoid Mary. Now next disease is pneumonia. So the causative agent for pneumonia is Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. These are the two bacteria responsible for causing pneumonia. One is Streptococcus pneumoniae and another one is Haemophilus influenza. स्टूडेंट्स आपको कॉजेटिव एजेंट याद रखने बहुत ज़रूरी है. यू ऑल्सो नीड टू नो कौन से डिसीज़ बैक्टीरिया से होते हैं, कौन से वायरस से होते हैं. वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट स्टूडेंट्स. नाउ सिम्टम्स एंड पैथोजेनिसिटी, दैट इज़ व्हाट आर द सिम्टम्स ऑफ द डिसीज़ एंड हाउ द डिजीज़ स्प्रेड्स इन एन इंडिविजुअल. Pneumonia in human infects the alveoli, which are air-filled sacs of the lung. So pneumonia, it infects the alveoli of the lungs. Now due to pneumonia, what happens? The alveoli gets filled with the fluid, which leads to the severe problems in respiration. Normally alveoli are the air sac. They are the balloon-like structure which are filled with the air. But due to the pneumonial infection, what happens? This alveoli gets filled with the fluid, due to which there occurs the problem in respiration. Now question arises, how the problem arises in respiration. So what happens? Fluid की वजह से the diffusion of the gases does not take place. See, alveoli, it is the area of the lung जहाँ पे diffusion of gases होने वाला है. बट फ्लूइड के आने की वजह से, ड्यू टू द प्रेजेंस ऑफ द फ्लूइड इन द एल्वियोलाई, diffusion of the gases does not take place, and due to that the oxygen does not reach the blood capillaries and person have the problem in the respiration. So that is regarding the pneumonia. Now what are the symptoms of the disease? The fevers, chills, cough and headache are some of the common symptoms of this disease. In severe cases, the fingers and the lip and nails. In severe cases, the lips and fingernails may turn grey to bluish in color. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplets or aerosols released by infected person, or even by sharing the glasses and utensils with an infected person. हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल को ये डिसीज़ होता कैसे है? सो बेसिकली बाय द ड्रॉपलेट्स इन्फेक्शन और द एरोसोल्स विच आर रिलीज्ड बाय द इन्फेक्टेड पर्सन. सो ये एरोसोल्स जब हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल्स में आएंगे तो वो डिसीज़ से सफ़र हो सकते हैं, या इन्फेक्टेड पर्सनस के ग्लासेस या यूटेंसिल्स को यूज़ करने से भी हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल में गेट द डिसीज़. So that is regarding the pneumonia. These are some of the names of the other bacterial diseases along with their causative agent. One is dysentery caused by Shigella dysentery, plague caused by bacteria Yersinia pestis, diphtheria caused by the Coryn bacterium diphthery. Now students, the another disease is the common cold. So we will begin with the next disease, common cold. The causative agent for this disease is rhinovirus. Now this rhinovirus, उसके subspecies बहुत ज़्यादा है and therefore it is a group of viruses. It is said कि एक बार वायरस आ जाता है तो अपनी इम्यून सिस्टम दूसरी बार अगर वो वायरस आया तो उसको रिकग्नाइज करके तुरंत ही वो वायरस को मार देगी. बट सी स्टूडेंट्स, वी ऑलवेज कॉमनली अपने को कॉमन कोल्ड होता रहता है, राइट? सो अगर एक बार हो गया तो फिर से नहीं होना चाहिए. बट क्यों होता है? द रीज़न इज़ देर आर मैनी वेराइटीज़ ऑफ द राइनो वायरसेस. सो राइनो वायरसेस, दे आर द ग्रुप ऑफ द वायरसेस. So common cold is which type of disease? It is a viral disease. Now symptoms and pathogenicity. They infect the nose and respiratory passage but not the lungs. See, pneumonia में lungs affected होती है. Common cold में respiratory passages यानी कि ट्रैकिया, ब्रोंकाई तक अफेक्ट होगा, नोज अफेक्ट होगा, बट लंग्स में इन्फेक्शन नहीं जाएगा. It is characterized by nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat that is pain in the throat, hoarseness यानी कि आप the change in the voice occurs, cough, headache, tiredness etc. which usually last for 3 to 7 days. यानी जब तक वायरस अपनी लाइफ साइकिल कंप्लीट नहीं करेगा ये डिसीज़ रहेगा. अपन जो भी मेडिसिन देती है वो क्या है, सिम्टोमेटिक रिलीफ देगी. जैसे कि हेडेक नहीं होगा, कफ का से सिम्टोमेटिक रिलीफ देगी. नाउ हाउ दिस डिसीज अकर्स. ड्रॉपलेट्स रिलीजिंग फ्रॉम द कफ और स्नीज ऑफ एन इन्फेक्टेड पर्सन आर आइदर इनहेल्ड डायरेक्टली or transmitted through contaminated objects such as pens, books, cups, doorknobs, computer keyboard or mouse etc. and cause the infection in healthy person. So how healthy person acquires this disease? So basically the droplets which are released from the cough or sneeze of an infected person when inhaled by the healthy person, then healthy person may suffer from disease, or when the droplets contaminates the objects like pens, books etc. and ये objects which are contaminated by the droplets of a person suffering from common cold are used by the healthy individual, then they may suffer from the disease. So this is regarding the viral disease. Some other viral diseases are chikungunya, which is caused by chikungunya virus. This virus requires a vector called as the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Vector यानी agents जो disease को transmit करेंगे. Dengue fever, it is caused by flavivirus और dengue virus. उसके लिए भी vector है Aedes aegypti mosquito. Hepatitis B caused by hepatitis B virus. Poliomyelitis caused by the polio viruses. So that is regarding the common cold and other viral diseases. Now let us begin with the disease malaria. Students, this is very important. Here you will be studying the life cycle of the Plasmodium. Causative agent. So it is a Plasmodium species which is a protozoan disease. So malaria is which type of disease? It is a protozoan disease caused by a protozoan Plasmodium. Now students, ये Plasmodium की 4 species है. In your book only 3 are mentioned, but total there are 4 species. So one is Plasmodium vivax, another one is Plasmodium malaria, third one is Plasmodium falciparum, and fourthly Plasmodium oval. Plasmodium oval is not mentioned in your book. So these are the 4 species of Plasmodium which are responsible for causing malaria in human beings. Out of these 4 species, ये प्लाज्मोडियम फाल्सीपेरम जो है उससे जो मलेरिया होता है that is called as a malignant malaria. The malaria caused by the Plasmodium falciparum, it is called as the malignant malaria because this malaria it proves to be fatal. It causes the death of an individual. So malignant malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one and can even be fatal. That is, it may take the life of an individual. ये disease होने के लिए there is a vector and the vector is the female Haemophilus mosquito. What are the vectors? They are the agents which are responsible for transmitting the diseases. मस्कीटो डिजीज़ नहीं करता है लेकिन मस्कीटो के अंदर प्लाज्मोडियम होता है एंड ये मस्कीटो जब हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल को बाइट करेगा तो डिसीज़ होगा. So mosquito, they are the agents, they are the carriers of the diseases. They are the agents which are responsible for transmission of the diseases. Now we will study the life cycle of Plasmodium. Now students, Plasmodium को 2 host की requirement है यानी Plasmodium protozoan it completes its life cycle in 2 hosts. One of the host is human being and another host is the female Haemophilus mosquito. So female Haemophilus mosquito का 2 काम है. एक तो वो Plasmodium के लिए host भी है and दूसरा it is also acting as the vector to transmit the disease. So students, Plasmodium protozoan, it requires two hosts to complete its life cycle. One of the host is human being and another one is the female Haemophilus mosquito. फीमेल इज इम्पॉर्टेंट, अगर मेल एनोफिलिस मस्कीटो हुआ तो ये डिजीज़ नहीं होगा. सो कैसे ये डिजीज़ ट्रांसमिट होता है, हाउ दिस प्लाज्मोडियम एंटर्स द ह्यूमन बींग्स, और यू कैन से व्हाट इज़ द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ द प्लाज्मोडियम. Plasmodium enters the human body as sporozoite, which is the infectious form, through a bite of the infected female Haemophilus mosquito. So, those female Haemophilus mosquito which are infected with the infectious form of the malarial parasite, that is sporozoite. Plasmodium का जो infectious stage है वो कौन सा है, sporozoites. Sporozoites basically are present in the salivary gland of the female Haemophilus mosquito. So when such female Haemophilus mosquito which carries the sporozoites in their salivary gland, it bites the healthy individual, then that individual may suffer from the disease. The parasites initially multiply within the liver cells and then attack the red blood cells, resulting in their rupture. Okay, जैसे ही स्पोरोजॉइट ह्यूमन बींग्स में आएगा, पहले वो कहाँ पे जाएगा, लिवर में. लिवर में अटैक करने के बाद दे एंटर इनटू द आरबीसीज. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दे एंटर द लीवर, फ्रॉम लीवर दे विल ट्रेवल टू आरबीसीज एंड आरबीसीज में जाके आरबीसीज को रप्चर करेंगे. दे ब्रिंग अबाउट द लाइसिस ऑफ द आरबीसीज. नाउ आरबीसीज में वो ऐसा तो क्या करते हैं, सो इन द आरबीसीज व्हाट हैपन्स, दिस स्पोरोजॉइट्स they convert or what happens, the heme of the hemoglobin is converted into hemozoin and globin, it becomes the food for the parasite. Hemoglobin, it is a conjugated protein, उसमें protein and non-protein part है. Protein part is globin and non-protein part is heme. So ये क्या होता है, ये दोनों part separate हो जाते हैं. Now what happens, heme जो non-protein part है वो एक टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंस हिमेजोइन में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा एंड जो ग्लोबिन सेपरेट हुआ है इट विल एक्ट एज द फूड फॉर द पैरासाइट. The rupture of RBC is associated with the release of a toxic substance hemozoin, which is responsible for chills and high fever recurring every 3 to 4 days. So hemozoin के वजह से मलेरियल पर्सन में chills होते हैं and high fever which occurs for 3 to 4 days. When a female Haemophilus mosquito bites an infected person, अभी देखो infected person यानी जिसमें मलेरियल पैरासाइट है, अभी ऐसे इंडिविजुअल को जब फीमेल Haemophilus mosquito बाइट करता है, then what happens, the parasite now enters into the mosquito body and further development takes place. So when a female Haemophilus mosquito it bites the healthy individual, when it bites the infected individual, the parasites will enter into the mosquito body and then further development of the parasite occurs into the mosquito body. The parasites multiply within them यानी within the mosquito to form the sporozoites that are stored in their salivary glands. When these mosquitoes bite a human, sporozoites are introduced into his or her body, thereby initiating the events mentioned above. See, cycle कैसी है, जब infected mosquito यानी कि जो mosquito के salivary gland में sporozoites है, वो mosquito जब healthy individual को bite करेगा तो healthy individual में मलेरिया होगा. यानी स्पोरोजॉइट्स हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल में आएंगे, उसके लीवर में जाएंगे, आरबीसीज में जाएंगे. ओके, ये सब हो गया. अभी जब नॉर्मल फीमेल Haemophilus मस्कीटो ऐसे इन्फेक्टेड इंडिविजुअल को बाइट करेगा तो क्या होगा, ये पैरासाइट फीमेल Haemophilus मस्कीटो के अंदर चला जाएगा. जहाँ पे फीमेल एनोफिलिस मस्कीटो क्या फॉर्म करेगा, स्पोरोजोइट। ओके, अभी ये स्पोरोजोइट वाला मस्कीटो फिर से कोई हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल को बाइट करेगा तो ये डिसीज को करेगा। It is interesting to note that malarial parasite requires two hosts, human and mosquitoes, to complete its life cycle. Which mosquito? Female Anopheles mosquito. The female Anopheles mosquito is a vector too, यानी ये transmitting agent भी है। Female Anopheles mosquito host तो है ही है, but it is also a vector to transmit the disease. See students, this is a life cycle of the Plasmodium parasite. Very important students. See students, we will study from here. So when a mosquito bites another human, sporozoites are injected with the bites. So when a mosquito which have the sporozoites in their salivary gland bites the healthy individual, then the healthy individual is infected with the disease. Okay, जैसे ही मॉस्किटो हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल को बाइट करेगा वो पैरासाइट कहाँ पे जाएगा, इट एंटर्स द लीवर. सो पैरासाइट दैट इज अ स्पोरोजॉइट रीच द लीवर थ्रू ब्लड. ओके, लीवर में से वो कहाँ पे जाएगा, सो पहले तो लीवर में वो अपना रिप्रोडक्शन करेगा. So the parasite reproduces asexually in liver. Very important students. Parasites जब भी human body में multiply होगा, it is by the asexual reproduction, and mosquito में ही वो sexual stages होंगे. Asexual stages human beings में होंगे, and one of the sexual stage occurs in the mosquito. सो लीवर में जाके पैरासाइट कौन से मेथड से रिप्रोड्यूस करेगा, एसेक्सुअल मेथड से. देन वो लीवर सेल को रप्चर करके वो पैरासाइट कहाँ पे चला जाएगा, ब्लड में चला जाएगा. सो द पैरासाइट रिप्रोड्यूसेस एसेक्सुअली इन द लीवर सेल्स, बर्स्टिंग द सेल्स एंड रिलीजिंग इनटू द ब्लड. पैरासाइट गया कहाँ पे, लीवर में. लीवर में वो लीवर सेल में मल्टीप्लाई होगा, मल्टीप्लाई करके लीवर सेल को क्या करेगा, बर्स्ट करेगा. बर्स्ट करके जो पैरासाइट्स रिलीज हुए वो कहाँ पे चले जाएंगे, ब्लड में. ब्लड में भी कहाँ पे, आरबीसीज में. द पैरासाइट्स reproduce asexually in blood, bursting the red blood cells and causing the cycles of the fever and other symptoms. Released parasite infect the new red blood cells. ओके, जो लीवर में से पैरासाइट्स कहाँ पे जाएंगे, लीवर के सेल में से जो पैरासाइट्स रिलीज हुए हैं वो कहाँ पे जाएंगे, आरबीसीज में. आरबीसीज में फिर से ये पैरासाइट एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन करेंगे, जिसके वजह से उनका नंबर इंक्रीज होगा. उनका नंबर इंक्रीज होने के वजह से वो आरबीसी रप्चर होगा. रप्चर होगा, बाद में क्या होगा, देर विल बी द फीवर साइकिल एंड सम ऑफ द अदर सिम्टम्स. ओके, जैसे ही आरबीसी बर्स्ट होगा, पैरासाइट रिलीज हो गए. रिलीज पैरासाइट अगेन एंटर्स द न्यू फ्रेश आरबीसीज. ओके, नाउ आरबीसीज में जो स्टेजेस बनते हैं, एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन होता है, बट जो एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन से सेल्स बनते हैं they are called as the gametocytes. So these gametocytes are the sexual stages. अभी sexual reproduction हुआ नहीं है, but gametocytes कहाँ पे बने, RBCs में. The larger one is the female gametocyte and the smaller one is the male gametocyte. Now what happens when the female Anopheles mosquito they bite the infected individual. infected individual यानी जो इंडिविजुअल में गैमेटोसाइट्स बने हैं. सो क्या होगा, जब मस्कीटो हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल को बाइट करेगा तो वो ब्लड मिल में क्या, उसके ब्लड मिल में जाएगा गैमेटोसाइट्स. नाउ व्हाट हैपन्स, ये जो मेल गैमेटोसाइट्स एंड फीमेल गैमेटोसाइट्स अभी जो फीमेल एनोफिलिस मस्कीटो में है उनका फर्टिलाइजेशन होगा. कहाँ पे होगा, इनटू द गट ऑफ द मस्कीटो, यानी कि इंटेस्टाइन डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम ऑफ द मस्कीटो में ये गैमेटोसाइट्स का फर्टिलाइजेशन होगा. एंड व्हाट दे फॉर्म, mature infective sporozoites escape from the gut and migrate to the salivary glands. फर्टिलाइजेशन होगा, फर्टिलाइजेशन से क्या बनेगा, स्पोरोजॉइड्स। ये स्पोरोजॉइड्स जो गट में है, जो इंटेस्टाइन में है, अभी वो कहाँ पे चले जाएंगे, सलाइवरी ग्लैंड में। नाउ व्हेन दिस मस्कीटो विच इज हैविंग द स्पोरोजॉइड इन द सलाइवरी ग्लैंड बाइट्स द हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल, फिर से ये साइकिल कंटिन्यू होगी। सो दिस इज हाउ द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ द प्लाज्मोडियम टेक्स प्लेस. Mosquito with the sporozoid bites the individual, then the sporozoid enters into the liver. From liver में asexual reproduction होगा, liver cells को lyse करेगा, parasites बाहर आएंगे, ये पैरासाइट्स आरबीसीज में जाएंगे, आरबीसीज में एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन होगा, आरबीसीज को बर्स्ट करेंगे, बर्स्ट करके नए आरबीसीज को इन्फेक्ट करेंगे। जब आरबीसीज में एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन होता है तो फीवर और दूसरे सिम्टम्स दिखते हैं। आरबीसीज में जो एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन होता है उससे सेक्सुअल स्टेजेस पैरासाइट के बनते हैं, विच आर कॉल्ड एज द गैमेटोसाइट्स। नाउ व्हेन एन mosquito bites an infected individual, what happens, the mosquito takes up the gametocytes along with the blood. अभी ये gametocytes का गट में, मस्कीटो के गट में फर्टिलाइजेशन होगा, स्पोरोजॉइड्स बनेंगे. These sporozoids then travel to the salivary gland, and when this mosquito again bites the healthy individual may suffer from the disease. So that was regarding the malaria. Now next protozoan disease is amoebiasis, or also called as the amoebic dysentery. The causative agent is Entamoeba histolytica, which is a protozoan. So there are two protozoan diseases given in your book. One is malaria and another one is amoebiasis, which is commonly called as the amoebic dysentery. What are the symptoms and pathogenicity of the disease? It is found, this parasite is found in the large intestine of the human beings. Symptoms include constipation, abdominal pain and cramp, stools with excess mucus and blood clots. Housefly act as the mechanical carriers. Mechanical carriers यानी सिर्फ वो डिजीज़ को अपने बॉडी पे, से फॉर एग्जांपल ये हाउस फ्लाइज पे ये जो क्या बोलते हैं जर्म्स है वो स्टिक होकर क्या करेंगे, से फॉर एग्जांपल हाउस फ्लाई सिट्स ऑन द फीसेस, ओके, एंड इट इज़ अ फीसेस ऑफ द इन्फेक्टेड पर्सन, यानी वो फीसेस के ऊपर हाउस फ्लाई बैठेगा. Now this housefly, when it sits on the food or water, what happens, the food and water get contaminated with the feces of the infected person and the healthy individual may suffer from the disease. So they act as the mechanical carriers, serve to transmit the parasite from feces of the infected person to food and food products, thereby contaminating them. Drinking water and food contaminated by the fecal matter are main source of the infection. So what is the main source of the infection? Food and water contaminated by the feces of the infected person. These are the main source of the infection. And what are the main symptoms of the disease? Constipation, abdominal pain and cramp, stools with excess mucus and blood clots. So that is regarding the amoebic dysentery. Students, we will study some of the other diseases. The helminthic diseases are remaining, fungal diseases are remaining, and the prevention and spread of the diseases is also remaining. So that we will be studying in the next video. I end my lecture here. Thank you, students.